So we're here today to get our Yu-Gi-Oh cards valued. I collected these a little bit after I collected my Pokemon cards, so I was slightly older, took a little bit better care of them. And yeah, I never really played the game. For me, it was more about just the collecting and the trading aspect.
Here are my cards in a nice little fancy tin. I used to play the game many years ago. I can't remember how long ago now. I must have been maybe like 12, 13 years old. I'll be in the playground, I'll see my friends, I wouldn't even say anything to them. I'll be like, just give them a nod. And they knew what time it was. You know what time it was? It was time to duel. I had to say it, man. I had to say it.
So I've got some pretty cool cards with me. I've got a few of the more powerful spell cards from back in the day. This one, Roy Raftery, is pretty cool. It just completely wiped out all of your opponent's creatures, which is great. Polymerization, you used to be able to kind of like fuse your monsters together and create these super crazy ones. Also, some of the trap cards are pretty cool. So I've got the Mirror Wall, the Mirror Force, and Dark Mirror Force. Remember Yugi busting these out in the day.
Some of my favorite cards would be, I would say it would be these two right here. So these two cards here, Black Luster Soldier and Chaos Emperor Dragon. These two cards are pretty much the Messi Ronaldo of Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day. If you had these two cards, you were running things with this. You'd be destroying every single deck you were playing against.
So I think I've got some pretty good cards. Some of them are in reasonable condition, not mint, but not too bad. After the surprise I got with the Pokemon card valuation, I'd probably expect in the region of 100, maybe a bit less.
If I were to evaluate all the cards I got with me now, I would say it was probably maybe somewhere in the hundreds. So maybe close to the thousands. Actually, no, I'm not gonna say that. I was like probably the hundreds.
It's time to do.
Hi everyone, my name's Roy Raftery. I'm back again to Dream Crush the Boys. I'm from Sneak Attack Games, which is one of the biggest stores in London for trading card games. It's a very unique store. We literally do every card game. So my experience with Yu-Gi-Oh cards is pretty much similar to the boys themselves. We're all roughly the same age, so we all grew up watching the cartoon. The cartoon in turn taught us how to play. So the main things I'm probably going to see are like original printings of the Legends of Blue Eyes set, which was the first set, Metal Raiders, all the iconic cards like Pot of Greed, Mirror Force, Monster Reborn, Raigeki, and what I'm looking for are the slight misprints, because they rushed the printings at the start. They rushed it to get it out, to cover all the bases, and it sold out very quick, so they're just constantly rushing them out. And there's a cool little tips and tricks that I'll talk about when I show the cards as well. So I've just had a look through Harry's stash of cards, and I've picked out a few that look interesting. So first off, one of his prize cards, Raigeki. Right, now this is not a first edition. The way you could tell with first edition cards, very similar to Pokemon, it's very easy. Just on the left-hand corner here, it should just say the word First Ed. So that's how you know you got a first edition one. This was one of the OG cards. Every single deck, every single competitive deck had to have Raigeki, so that it was desirable. Another cool thing about his Raigeki is it's from Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon, which was the very first set, and there was a printing error on the card. So on the top right-hand corner here, it says Magic card. Wizards, the people who own Magic, swiftly came to them and said, you can't print trading cards with the word Magic on. Please remove it, otherwise we'll sue. So they quickly changed it around. So if you have a near mint or mint condition Raigeki first edition from Blue Eyes White Dragon where it says Magic card, you're probably looking around $50 to $60. In this condition, it's probably $3 to $4, mainly because in terms of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, the judges are very strict about the condition of your cards, and if there's any little nicks on them, you just can't play with them. If they're curved in any way, shape or form, it's just a big no-no. You have to go and get updated versions or near mint versions. That's why damaged Yu-Gi-Oh cards sell for way less than say like a damaged Pokemon or damaged Magic card. Next up, we've got Mirror Force. So again, Mirror Force is one of the OG cards. You had to play with it in your deck. It was the best trap at the time. In this condition, again, poor Harry, none of his cards are the way we want them to be. This is probably passable at a tournament, and it's probably again around the same $3 to $5 mark as the Raigeki. In near mint, a Mirror Force from Metal Raiders is probably about $10, and a first edition Mirror Force is probably around the range of $40 to $50. So it's a good one to get if you've got it, because collectors like the original cards. So one of the first ever boss monsters, Yugi's famous Dark Magician. So here we've got two different printings, and one of them came from the very first structure deck. You had a Yugi one with Dark Magician and a Kaiba one with the Blue Eyes White Dragon. You also had, running alongside it, the first ever set, which was Saga of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. And in it you had Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon. And they gave them different artworks. So a lot of people say, oh, I've got a Dark Magician, but it's a different picture than the one I know. Is it worth 10 times as much? Not as so, because people like, believe it or not, people like the cartoon artwork, the one that Yugi was always slamming down, at any chance he got.
Dark magic attack!
So a first edition Dark Magician from Blue Eyes White Dragon is easily like $45, $50. In this condition, it's got a few creases on it, dings on the top, like the card's peeling away a little bit at the top. Again, this is heavily played. This is probably in the 6 to 8 region. This is the Dark Magician from the structure deck. These came in first editions as well, and they're quite hard to come by. One of these in near mint first edition is easy $85. Easy. It was very hard to come by. This one is probably in the $2 to $3 region. People like this artwork, as I said. It's what they identify with. It's basically a part of their childhood, so they like this one. Same with the Blue Eyes artwork. So here we have, again, two famous cartoon-based monsters. We have the Relinquished and Buster Blader. And the really, really cool thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is even now, they're updating these monsters. They're giving them like companions for the archetype. So there's a new Relinquished monster that came out about 6 months ago. There's a new Buster Blader, like Buster Blader's ally. And it keeps these cards relevant. Each of these cards is probably in the $5 to $10 range based on the condition. Double that if it's in good condition, just because people like them. Everyone remember Pegasus and his Thousand Eyes Restrict and his Relinquished in turn. Buster Blader just annihilated Kaiba, and people like it for those reasons. They like collecting these cartoon cards. So if you have any of these in your collection, you should look out for these. All right, Harry, overall, you've got some really nice iconic cards. The problem is a vendor will have trouble selling them to players because you can't use them in competitive play because of the condition. So I probably wouldn't buy them. If at a pinch, I would probably offer something in the $20 to maybe $30 range. And I know that seems low, but a lot of these cards are $3 to $4. A lot of the commons from back in the day are not worth anything, just straight up not worth anything. So yeah, unfortunately, $30 tops. Sorry. Okay, so got David's cards here, and they're way better. They're all in sleeves, even though they're very old sleeves that have stained my fingers. They're still in great condition, the cards themselves. So we'll start off with his two prized possessions. So we have the Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, and Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End. So the Chaos Emperor Dragon has been banned since, for at least 14 odd years, never been unbanned. Blackluster Soldier recently became unbanned, so the desire for the card is there, but the real talking point is the Chaos Emperor Dragon. So it's a first edition Chaos Emperor Dragon, and recently it's just been going sky high. So about 4 or 5 months ago, I bought one for like 20 quid, sold it for 35, but now they're £90. And I sold one in a bit better condition than David's for £90. They're about $100 at the moment, and they're only going up. And I don't really know why. Great card, very iconic, really hard to come by. The print qualities and the print runs were super low at the time. So already his Chaos Emperor beats the rest of them. So the Blackluster Soldier isn't first ed, but at the moment, the most recent printings of Blackluster Soldier is probably sitting around $15. So for an original one in the condition that this is in, it's easy $20 to $25. So David's Mirror Force is much better condition. It's in a sleeve and it's first ed. as you can see from the bottom left-hand corner, and it clearly saying the word first edition. Easy $45 for this one in the condition it's in. So yeah, just adding to the value. David's total just like when your life points went down, but his is going up. So here we have just original cards from the anime that people identify with, that saw a lot of play when the cards were originally made. Still see a little bit of play now, and people just want them for that like iconic collector's reason. You got Swords of Revealing Light, Heavy Storm, Magic Cylinder, and Call of the Haunted. All of these cards were just super cool. You had to have them in all of your decks. Because of that, they still have a little bit of premium, but the biggest problem with certain Yu-Gi-Oh cards is the fact that they've been reprinted to death. All right, so David hands down won. There's some cards that you didn't get to see, but he had a big collection. Easily eclipses $400. He had a lot of iconic cards, a lot of first editions, a lot of just very powerful cards that were good in and of themselves, individually of the cartoon and of the trading card game, which accumulates to a good collection and a happy David.
So we just had our cards valued by Roy. Unfortunately, David has banished me to the shadow realm. He's absolutely destroyed me in terms of card value.
I thought I would get a lot for my cards because I kept them in good condition. They were in the sleeves. I had some pretty rare and nice ones, including the Black Luster Soldier and Chaos Zebra Dragon, but I didn't expect them to be as high as he valued them.
Tiny bit surprised by the valuation. I thought they might be worth a little bit more, but as with the previous valuation that we did, it was the condition that let me down. I prefer to think of them as well loved rather than in bad condition.